leagues are as good as a pot of gold. You'll never find it. Here we go, Tomb of the Spider Queen. I can see Cat Fox smiling, and I know why, because they're ready for the draft. Take it away, good friend.
Thank you very much, Skimmy and Vandy. So let's get into this one. GLP, Tomb of the Spider Queen, my personal favourite map. I know this one has a little special place in your heart as well, because let's be honest, it is one of the more fun ones. It's one of the ones where you have to prioritise wave clear as much as you do point control. And it's going to be interesting to see what these two teams are going to be drafting. It is the second map of this best of 3 series. So the Outlaws taking the victory in round number 1. Let's see if they can come out on top here. The winner of this one will be going through to the grand final, while the loser will be bumped down to the losers bracket. Play the winner of Darksided versus Rich Gang E-Thugs, who apparently are kicking on from last night and haven't slept yet, so that's their own fault. So let's see, who is it going to be? GLP, let's go.
Yeah, let's get into this one. As you mentioned, I really like this map. It's one of those interesting ones you can have some really intriguing drafts, and there are some of the heroes in the pool that you'd see more often on this map than you would on others. Things like the Chromie, which I know you enjoy as well. Things like the Ragnarok, the Kerrigan's also can pop up on this map as well, especially when you start talking about the amount of rotation that is required in this kind of map, and how the Kerrigan can really punish that. But first off, it's just going to be the Sonya picked up. It wasn't banned this time, so he's going to be the first pick, and the ETC and the Greyman, they're just going to hit the bench yet again.
The red team now, let's see what they're going to lock in. Still obviously needing everything, but you don't want to give too much away with your first pick. They will have to answer that Sonya, depending on what sort of build she goes for. Gul'dan, there we go. I was hoping we would see either a Felflame or Corruption Gul'dan, so and Johanna as well. So very good, solid picks there on the side of Outlaws.
Yeah, the Johanna makes a lot of sense. I was going to suggest that Johanna be one of those very highly prioritized warriors, especially for this map and the amount of wave clear that she brings to a lineup. She can just walk in, condemn, punish, smack everything away, grab those gems and start moving on, and also punishes any kind of dangerous rotations coming out from your opposition. And the Gul'dan, yet again, wave clear, has a lot of damage coming out once we get later and later into the game, especially once he starts getting stacked up, depending on whether he goes Felflame or even Corruption. Both have very viable avenues, but Gul'dan can bring so much control in a fight as well.
Yeah, both are like you said, extremely viable. Both get great value. Probably on this map, you might just slightly think Felflame over Corruption, depending on what they're going to go for. If they go for another wave clear, he may actually go for Corruption to control the points and let somebody like a Vala or a Ming clear the lanes. But I don't think you'll see two majors. But we're going to see two frontliners now on the side of Crimson. So Bruiser Sonya, Tank Arthas, and Malfurion to complement that one. So good lockdown. Potential with the Broccoli build as well, if you decide to go for that one. Let's see, or the Moonfire we were talking about earlier on.
Yeah, the Moonfire is pretty much the standard. Just like everything that Malfurion brings, he's just so very solid in pretty much everything he does. And continues to be one of the stable picks. Wanted to pick it up now because I'm pretty sure they're feeling that if given the option, it would most definitely go over to the side of Outlaws. So wanted to pick that away before there was any chance of it either getting banned or picked away. So getting high priority heroes in multiple roles, very strong first half of the draft for Crimson. We'll have to see how it shapes out for the rest. The Chromie ban makes a lot of sense because we have a very rather considerable frontline for Crimson, which would allow a Chromie to be rather safe to just fire away for days.
Lucio's going to be taken away from Crimson, so that's not bad. I mean, Outlaws, they still do need a solid support, and Lucio would provide a lot of survivability, especially with that Sound Barrier, with that Johanna, and, I mean, Gul'dan needs as much survivability as he can get. I mean, he's got no mobility, he has one decent disengage in the terms of Horrify, which, you know, I've seen a few Rain of Destructions lately, but Ragnaros I really like because this map is so tiny. Molten Core is monstrous in terms of everything. The circumference of it is just massive. You wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, and his wave clear, as we've been saying on this map, is very highly sought after. And also the good old ANZ meme, the Lava Lava, is always a whole lot of fun, especially on this map. I remember last season, Season 4 finals, there was a brilliant lava wave
Lava Lava.
Those are always a lot of fun.
It's always good to see Lava Wave.
Lava
Call it
Lava,
what you
yeah.
will. Yep, it's great. Lava Smack. Get it right. It's Lava Smack. Matt Morales is now going to be was the healer to go in there with Outlaws, which is great. I mean, because Gul'dan gets bursted down, so does Rag.
Ooh.
Now KT and Genji is good. They needed a fair bit of damage to Crimson, and they've come out with the big combo punch at the end. KT is great on all fronts. He does have that Phoenix where he's able to throw it down and just deter anybody from handing in those gems, as well as, of course, the Flame Strike to clear out the waves. And, it's everything about Crimson's lineup to me screams wave clear. I mean, even the Genji with a well-placed Swift Strike can deal a good chunk to start things off in terms of wave clear. But now it's Outlaws. Who do you think they're going to pick in for their last one here?
I mean, they've already got a reasonable
Everything.
front line in the Johanna and the Ragnaros. Probably another assassin, or even another. I mentioned it earlier, but potentially like an Ana to really go all in on this Gul'dan spell damage.
Yeah.
But they'll probably go for some other kind of mage or something to try and punish this Kalthas. Because if they're not able to get in onto it, they're going to have a bit of a rough time. But they're actually just going to start blasting away at that front line with the Tychus.
So they're going for the Korean meta here. The
Yeah.
the meta basically everywhere else is go for your dive, lock in your Genji, lock in your Tracers, lock in your deep dive and champions, execute on the back line. Nah, Korean meta. Chew straight through the front line. Put your head down like a bull on heat and just go at it. That is what they do. That is what Outlaws are going to be trying to do here. But I'm interested to see how Panda plays the Lieutenant Morales here. She's played a fantastic Uther, fantastic Malfurion. Morales requires a little bit more, I don't want to say skill, but a little bit more concentration.
Bit of finesse, because
bit of finesse,
you're essentially playing the floor is lava. You step anywhere, you've all of a sudden got a Genji diving at you. You've all of a sudden got a Sonya trying to just come in at a flank with a poison spear potentially and just assassinate you completely. You've got people running at you from all angles, and you have to be very aware of your situation, your surroundings. You have to be very cautious about where you are and how you're playing it.
So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. It is round number 2 of this best of 3 series between Crimson Esports and the Outlaws. Crimson are on blue. They're currently down 0-1. It is Altivian on Genji, Shadow on Malfurion, Jesmez playing Sonya, Azure playing Kael'thas, and KVA on the front line, Arthas.
And on the red side, we have Outlaws 1-0 up in this series. One more will lock in a spot in the grand final. It is IBW on the Johanna, Lahal is on the Tychus, Coffee is on Gul'dan, Gondo is on Ragnaros, and Pandemonium is now on the Lieutenant Morales.
So will we see a punch-on with these minions spawning early on? You can't really afford to hang around for too long. No revelation coming out. There's no Hanzo this time, so Gondo won't be pulling that one out again. So no drone either, with Malfurion, who's currently going to have that one taken away from him. I think he has actually had it taken away from him. There we go. The engage is on, and Gul'dan gets deleted. First blood going over to Crimson. Great way to open up your account.
Yeah, that's what we've been seeing quite a lot from Gul'dan over the course of this day, is just stepping forward even the slightest bit, and you are just going to get punished exponentially. And he doesn't survive very long. You mentioned it in the draft, is that he has very little mobility, very little sustainability, or durability, I should say. And when you have everyone just rocking up in the lane and then starts blasting away at you, you're not going to have a lot of fun. But it's still early games, and now they're going to start working their way on the Morales. They lock her down. He's going to start getting away from it, but the Genji dive is just a little too much.
All Shadow needs to do is just shadow KVA here, and now Genji just dashing through, gets himself a double kill. What I was saying, all Shadow needs to do here is literally shadow KVA. That Howling Blast lands, Shadow drops the roots on, that double CC is enough to pop any head apart from Johanna on the side of Outlaws.
Yeah, and that's a lot of lockdown. We've got a massive lockdown chain potential for Crimson, and they've used it very well, and they've established a little bit of a lead so far early on in this game. As on the bottom side, the Genji's going in. They do manage to take down the Ragnaros. Gondo getting picked off by Jesmez and Altivian. So a brilliant start coming out for Crimson. We'll have to see just how much they're going to be able to expand on this early advantage.
They need to do that with a 4 kill upsies. You're pretty happy. And they'll be hitting level 4 before the Outlaws, guys. So they're looking to engage. KVA sitting on 12 gems. And Crimson probably will be hoping to turn in. The Howling Blast lands in the top lane, but no follow-up at all. But Hush just falls over the map here as the farm game begins. They start harvesting their crops, culturing them. And Crimson just... I'd say you want to try and hand in before you engage here.
Yeah, you want to be very cautious with how your gems are going. They have, well, Crimson have been pretty decent with their gem counter. They're very close to getting enough for a hand in, but I think they're quite okay with their gem counters, especially with how much they've held back the side of Outlaws. As it looks like they're trying to get a gank onto KVA, but there's not enough consistent lockdown to keep that Arthur's at bay.
That's where they're really going to struggle here. I mean, Crimson, we see how dangerous this Howling Blast Entangling Roots combo is, and then you just follow that up with a Gravity Lapse and then a Dash and Genji. You pretty much just may as well start carving Rip on your tombstone right now. The Outlaws, though, they can actually catch them out here. Oh, IBW gets away. Pandemonium has been caught out. Caught in the Frozen Wastes, and yes, the Frozen Tempest. KVA cleans that one up. Now Lahal on the Tigers gets destroyed as well. Coffee on the Gul'dan narrowly slinks away. IBW there on the Johanna, frontlining, trying to take down KVA. Oh, yes! The Meteor from Gondo actually finds the target, and now Azure down on the KVA, so Crimson just overextending a little bit too long there. They threw out a lot of gems in that engage, and that just hands it back over to Outlaws, who can actually turn in here.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing about that is, sure, they gave up a few kills a little bit unnecessarily, but as you mentioned, the amount of gems that they threw onto the floor, they are now very far behind, and as you mentioned, Outlaws do have enough for a hand in, but with this, with the Moonfire build, and especially with Illumin's Grace increasing the range of his abilities, they should have been able to stall out for quite a while and make it very hard for Outlaws to stick. But still, a very nice attempt at the comeback coming in for the Outlaws. We'll have to see if Crimson are going to pull back from that very aggressive playstyle that they've been showing already, or if they're just going to keep on just wailing away at that front line or any of the vulnerable members of Outlaws.
Well done there from Crimson to actually prevent the turn in there from Outlaws. So they really could have got the upper hand there, but the Moonfire from Malfurion was good, and I just think we will be seeing that build come out. Got 2 talents in there, hindering Moonfire as well, so going for that slow against a lineup with Gul'dan, not Tassadar, Tigers, sorry, and Morales. That slow is dangerous because there's no dash abilities, there's no speed abilities, there's no mobility at all from these guys, and that's really it's what is actually costing them out here. The Howling Blast goes in, it collects 2, in goes Ultivian, there it is, the Root Lapse! And just CC for day combo that's all you need. The Howling Blast is it's initiating here. KVA, again, we saw him do this as a Nubarak against Downfall. He's making the big plays where they count here. Again, he catches out Coffee, going to ask for the assist, going to do it all himself, securing the kill, and they're going to get level 10 very, very soon here. And once that happens, GLP, it's going to be not quite GG for Outlaws, but they are going to be struggling.
KVA is just being an absolute monster. You mentioned his game on Nubarak, his positioning and his proficiency. Incredible. Follow up that last one. Once you start the combo, it's very easy to follow it through. This is just, it's a little bit disgusting. And now that the hand has gone in, this is most definitely going to be the level 10 coming in for Crimson, and this should allow them to expand on that a little bit more. They have to be, Outlaws are going to have to be very careful with how they play this defense. Looks like they just want to start moving towards the bottom side, punish Gondo for sticking around, and with the level 10, they are just going to start blasting away. Oh, there it goes. And look at the amount of gems on the floor.
Bleeding, absolutely bleeding. He just dropped 44 gems on the ground. Rip Outlaws, rip Gondo, rip whatever chance you had at countering back this push here from Crimson, because with that frag, Molten Core came in too late. The CC was timed from Lahal there with the grenade, and it was GG's from there. And now I don't think Outlaws will be able to come back from the, sorry, not Lahal. The CC came in from the gravity lapse from Kael'thas, is what I was trying to say. And now they try to engage again. Oh, caught out. KVA missing the Howling Blast, and no. Oh no, not like this. Not like this. Good night, Lahal. Good night, Coffee. You didn't want a game anyway. It's fine. IBW with 44 gems of his own. Pandemonium coming in with the heels on the back line, able to keep that one alive. And they're really going to struggle here as the Crimson lads continue to aggress here on the top towers. They're going to get 2 for their troubles, knock down a gate, maybe a fountain, if they're lucky, but I don't think the keep.
Yeah, but still, that is an incredible amount of pressure that Crimson have been able to get. They took down the bottom 4, they took down the top 4, they took down a whole bunch of extra towers, and they have exploded this experience lead. And they have very close to getting yet another talent advantage, and this should allow them to at least stall out the game long enough to get themselves another turn in. And even though Outlaws do have enough gems on their own, they have to be very careful. We've seen just the amount of just balls out aggression coming out from this Crimson lineup. If they step a little bit out of place, Outlaws, they are just going to get punished yet again. And IBW on with his 50 gems. Yeah, it's nice to have all those gems, but have to be a little bit careful about how you're playing around the map now.
The Moonfire comes in, actually catches him out there. Shadow needs to be careful. Overextends into the icebox. Sulfurous Smash comes across, and it allows Tigers to clean up and mark the kill. So now Crimson really going to struggle here. Outlaws with the advantage. The goes in, as does a lot of ults. The Odin comes down from the hull. IBW is going to catch KVA out, and he can then punish combo. Now, Genji just doing Genji things, dashing through left, right, and center. Resets for days, deflect, gets a ton of damage off. Another dash. Gondo actually picks up the kill. There is no reset from Altivian. The minions, will they pick it up? No, Gondo lives. IBW getting chased now to Altivian, who, well, just dashes away as Genji with that cyber agility. Just in the nick of time there, that would have been funny.
Or
not quite.
Almost got the meteor rolling. Almost got the Prometheus skill of running away. But he learned learned much better lesson than those guys. But despite the fact that that fight went rather even, it was a reasonable time for Outlaws to be doing that, because they managed to get that turn in and they're able to recoup a lot of those experience losses with all the towers being picked up by those web weavers just passively. Sure, they're behind a level, but it's much better position than what they were in before. But now they don't have all the gems in hand, so they can potentially get another hand in, and they're essentially back to square one.
Arthur seems to be completing this Frozen Waste. He's pretty close now, only needs 10 more ticks on that stack. Meanwhile, Rag is completing catching fire, so Gondo now gives himself a little bit more sustainability, activate that, a little bit more armor comes his way. There's a few pings coming out now here, a la Cone Wizard style, but now, big Howling Blast collects 3, the Phoenix goes in, and good night, Outlaws! That was a dominating play there from Crimson.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, pepperoni pizzas on
That's what I
special.
really say about that one. They were trying to play very aggressive. They were waiting for the Web Weavers to finish so they could start working towards the Crimson hard camp. But because they were so delayed in, the Web Weavers were so delayed in dying, there was nothing there for them, and they just overstayed their welcome and got CC chained to death. The amount of damage coming out of that combo is just disgusting. And with that complete wipe coming in, this is just going to be a boss coming out for Crimson, and they have enough for a hand in. They can grab this boss and then hand in, and then we're back to what we were a couple of minutes ago, just all the pressure going in favor of Crimson.
RBW meets KVA there, but they've decided against the boss. They just baited it out. There is another big CC combo. This time it's Malfurion that picks up the kill. Gondo into the Molten Core, but it's a little bit too late. And now, should they desire, Crimson could actually go for the boss here, because 30 seconds without Gul'dan is a bad time. They're going to wait for Molten Core to run its course, which it will do very, very soon. In fact, right now, throws out a couple cheeky runes just before he gets out, throwing down a meteor. Azure is hunting for the kill here. Gondo with the Sulfurous catches KVA, but KVA knows how to run. IBW throws out the Blessed Shield. So 60 seconds down.
The amount used just to prevent Gondo from being even close to peril. That was a lot used, and that is some big cooldowns used that won't be available for this next defense. And it looks like Crimson, they want this top side to be down. Once they start, once this top keep is down, it just opens up the boss avenue later on in the game. So they're not worrying about any of those other lanes. They don't really care about those nearly as much as this one. And they're just going all in. They're not even waiting for the minions to turn up. They're just blasting away. And Outlaws are just not in position to try and stop them.
Well, I think they're still reeling from that massive wombo combo that, well, it was a 2-second fight, let's face it, because within that time frame, all of Outlaws found themselves staring down the barrel of a big fat chunky spawn timer. The web weavers are up, they're about to run out. Bottom lane is the only one still getting pushing. Crimson, they're smart players, they know exactly what they're doing. They're going to set themselves up for a boss. They take this, they've already taken that top keep. This could be the win condition right here.
Exactly, it's exactly what I was pretty much describing. Just take down that top keep, just go all in for that one, regardless of how the rest of the map is playing out. Just get ready for this boss to be, as you mentioned, a win condition. But they're also using tool, and now they get the flank down onto the Pandemonium, and she gets absolutely low, but they're not actually able to finish one, does it? There it is, the Twilight Joe finishes them off, and Goddard is actually on the backside helping out to split the members of Crimson, but it's just not nearly enough. Everyone on the side of Outlaws are just getting split apart, and that is just going to be a clean fight for Crimson. They're just going to take this one straight into the base.
Straight down the middle, that CC chain that they've got coming out here in terms of the KT Gravity Lapse initiated by the KVA Howling Blast into the Malfurion roots. Every single one of Crimson players played their role to perfection. Gondo tries his best with the Molten Core, but it is now leveled up at 1 apiece GLP. We're going to game number 3, and man, it's 42 degrees here today, but I tell you what, it is damn hot up in this lobby here.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about the Ragnaros being around and all those molten meteors.
And the flame
it's actually really hot and really uncomfortable, but it's a lot of fun. And just for that game, just got to give so much credit to KVA. His flanking positions and just how his hit accuracy with those Howling Blasts on those priority targets, consistently hitting Coffee, Pandemonium on those very squishy backliners. It just sets up the team so easily, and when it can consistently hit those Howling Blasts, you're always going to be in a good position.
So that is it for game number 2 of this best of 3 series. Crimson answering back with dominance. Have a look at the damage coming out there from Genji. Big shout outs to everybody here from Crimson, KVA's initiations, everybody else popped off, but that's going to be it from us for now. We're going to pass you back over to the analyst desk to break down that game. So Skimmy and Vandy, take it away.
Thank you very much there, Kev Fox. And yeah, an explosive turn of events there in game number 2. It all was, as you mentioned, laid down with the lore that is none other than KVA. Howling Blast was there. The follow-up damage was definitely there. And people were popping left, right, and center, just like an Acne advert.
It really was. But it's so interesting. Outlaws, once again, almost managing to take that game. Like, it was just so close. The comeback. We were all saying, is it real? Is it real? But yeah. Crimson, they were like, no, not today. And I really liked the draft this time coming out from Crimson. It was quite smart. Like, we could see the early game, they were just really trying to show their dominance, trying to work out a little bit of that experience that they could then have some leeway to play with. It was very, very smart of them. And Azure doing so much damage on that Kel'Thuzz, especially in those grouped up fights that we saw. Yeah. The living bombs were getting so much value.
I mean, we talked about the importance of wave clear in this one, and if we actually compare side by side, you'd argue that the Outlaws have a lot more wave clear in their disposal between Icebolt and Ragnaros and Gordon, just to mention a few. But in terms of team fight pressure, the early game was really on the side, definitely, of Crimson. And then when it came to clumped up fights where you're trying to force those fights, especially in the night camp, for example, where it was that classic 3-man Howling Blast into just absolute deletion. It just really speaks for itself. And Kel'Thuzz is an old fan favorite for this map in particular, right? The Phoenix, the zoning potential with the Flame Strike, everything about him screams this map. And it's good to see the meta sort of like circle back around to him being played in the fold again.
He's like the OG mage. I mean, Gul'dan came along, and it was nice to see as well. Outlaws, they didn't want to sort of make it that so that Kel'Thuzz was the only mage with area effect damage. It was nice to see them picking up Gul'dan as well. The Horrify came in quite handy as well for them in those team fights. But ultimately, like you said, although Outlaws had the pushing composition, sometimes in team fights we could see, especially KVA, in those close, narrow corridors, it really did. You could start to see it really favored Crimson.
Absolutely, and I say it came down to the execution, obviously, as well. So it puts us into a bit of an interesting predicament with 2 more best of 3s after this one as to who's going to be making it to the grand finals to claim all the victories leading into the 2018 circuit. One apiece right now, and the next match will decide all things considered. Potentially no memes aside, Pandemonium wasn't playing Johanna. That's the whole reason they lost.
Hey, yeah, right? Could be. I mean, Morales having a hard time with that much dive coming out from Sonya Genji putting pressure on her. So bring Panda back on that Johanna. Iceball, we're looking at you. But that's enough from us. I believe we are getting ready for the next game. Unsure whether the teams are set up in lobby, so we're just waiting to see what's going on. But there will be a third game. As Schemey mentioned.
There will be a third game indeed. And once
A
again,
heated game. One apiece.
Heated game. I mean, you're talking about the heat locally and in the game. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the heat that Blizzard ANZ are bringing right now. Full sellout mode. No, big shout outs obviously to Blizzard ANZ for providing us with some skin codes. It's always great to have something to play for rather than just playing it for the ability for us to speak some words over a camera through the internet for you to have a laugh at and put it on Reddit or in your little clip bank to have a laugh at some other time. I don't know what you do with those clips. Maybe you want to look at my carpet cleaning ads. They are pretty spicy, but don't spill any food on the floor because I won't be cleaning it up for you.
Whoa! Skimmy, laying down the law. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Go eat your sandwich in peace there, Vandy.
Yeah, my sanger. Hot there. You know, I could probably get a pan, put it out on the pavement, and cook some eggs. That's how hot it's getting. True
sounds like a
Aussie
fantastic barbecue. That's how you do it down under. Just on the pavement, you're just like staring like, please cook, please cook.
Feral. I know. We know we've got a lot of teams also from Melbourne, where it's about 40. So yeah. Speaking of carpet cleaning ads, while we're waiting and have 100 people watching, Skimmy, we're gonna have a look at it again. I've got the whispers from the producer. It's happening.
Alrighty. Time for me to go quiet and you can enjoy the vicious...
Strap in. Yep, sit back and enjoy the ad, guys.
Do you have a dirty carpet? Have you tried cleaning it yourself and failed miserably? And are you tired of staring at the stains and the dirt? And have you ever looked for a professional carpet cleaner online? I noticed there's just so many different prices out there for the exact same room. But when it comes to searching for a professional carpet cleaning service, you don't just want to trust anyone with that job, especially when it's your home or your business. We, Sun Carpet Cleaning, are a family-owned business with over a decade of experience in providing premium upholstery and carpet cleaning services. Whether you need carpet cleaning for large or small rooms, you deserve a carpet cleaning service that will save you time and money. We clean all types of carpets, covering both residential and commercial cleans at very competitive prices, starting from as little as $49 plus GST. We're fast, we're friendly, and we're efficient. And since we're open 7 days a week, we're available whenever you need us, even during public holidays. So why wait? Contact Sun Carpet Cleaning now and get professional services at the best prices.
Welcome back, guys, to the invitational event here, the Pretrainer, into the preseason. It is 2018. We are underway with the very first event for it, and it is none other than myself, Skimmy, and Vandy on a desk, literally on a desk, with some fantastic photoshopping abilities, not only to bring some spicy memes, but to bring some great games. And we've had a Starbucks show out today so far, Vandy. We've had the caffeinators, actually.
The caffeinators.
The coffee gang.
Well, I saw in chat, so Hanny and Zed were saying, who's favored? Are there any brackets? Let's touch a little bit on that. Let's answer his question, Ski.
Sure.
Who is favored going into this? We said perhaps it would be Crimson. And the reason we're saying this is because Outlaws are actually missing a member that's usually a part of their roster. Pandemonium, who is actually their manager, is substituting for them today, but she's done a bang-up job to the point where they're actually winning games quite convincingly. Yeah. I mean, they seem to flail a little bit, struggle a little bit in the early, but they don't lose out on that experience, and they don't let themselves get snowballed. They know what they have to do to come back, and it's been very, very strong. So at the moment, to answer that question, neither team's quite favored. It's just who wants it more and who's going to execute their draft properly. Both teams have the experience and they've got the skills to take it home, I reckon.
I'm just watching the stream, cracking up at myself. I'm just having a bit of a laugh at myself right now.
Because you're just the cutest carpet cleaner guy. You're like, ever got a dirty carpet?
It's the biggest meme. Like, this is what happens, right? You make it to an event and suddenly someone's like, hey, do you want to do a carpet cleaning? You're like, why not? You, me, and you, me.
I'd love to.
And you do it, you're just like halfway through, you have that look into the camera like, why am I here? Like, you just have that sort of like surge of like stress. What am I doing with my life to end up here? Here.
What am I doing? I mean, looking sharp. I did point out that was the suit you did get to wear to BlizzCon, or was that at Mid-Season Brawl? Mid-Season Brawl, right?
It was, yeah. They said wear that suit, you look like a babe.
Looking
And I was
sharp.
like, I don't want to be objectified. It's 2018. Equal rights of both genders.
Yeah, looking schmick.
Alrighty, who is the first pick this time around? I've got the host rights apparently, so something's gone wrong here.
They're just like, Skimmy, you deal with it. You go ahead, you do
I've
this.
got control.
Matt, this time around is going to be Brax's holdout. This is going to be a very interesting one because we've said that Outlaws have been very good at putting the brakes on any potential snowball. On Braxis, it becomes all the more harder to do it. So can Crimson finally run away with the game after a strong early game? Because they've shown us back to back how good their early game is, but then they maybe overstay or make a little bit of a mistake that that Outlaws are then able to capitalize on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, indeed. And I mean, Braxis Holdout, it's going to be a finale because I say this is a game that we've seen, or this is a map that we've seen once today. And that game finished in 10 minutes flat. So if you've had 2 back-to-back games and a 1-1 stalemate, it's all going to come down to this here, which makes it quite interesting as to how these teams are going to try and draft that we've seen in the past. Lava Wave be the pick of choice.
Lava.
As I mince up my words there, I need to get some food in my life as well. Maybe I need to go out with my paper.
You need a sanger.
Looks like
Sausage sanger, fix anything up.
ready. And I'm going to pass the bet to Kid Fox and GeoPhoenix. They are on standby. They're smiling. They're having a good time. And we are ready to find out who will be progressing further through this tournament to get themselves some skin codes.